There are 4 different options for weighting. Select all your measures and click the weight button. Make sure all of your measures are set to inherit weight from weighting axis. Click OK. And now turn on the weighting axis by clicking this button. You'll see it appear up here in the columns, and then click that box to add a weight to your weighting axis. So now you'll have 2 items, unweighted and final weight, and click OK. You can now see 2 columns in the output table, one for each item in the weighting axis, and each cell is weighted by how it intersects with that weighting axis. So to verify the weight, hover over a cell and look in that blue pop-up box about the 4th row down. You'll see that this cell is being weighted by the variable WTS. And if I hover over a cell in the first column, I don't see any weighting information, and that tells me that this cell isn't being weighted. This method of weighting is most useful when you want to see unweighted and weighted results side by side. You can actually add additional weights as well, although that might be less common. Okay, so now I'm turning off the weighting axis and I'm going to move on to the second option for weighting. Selecting all of my measures, clicking the weight button, and changing them to weight using W1. And this is more of a way to declare a global weight. Clicking OK, and now all of my measures have a little W1 next to them in the Edit Measures box. And my next step is to define this global weight. Define W1 by clicking here. And I'm selecting my final weight. In this box, Report Builder tries to guess by looking at the variable name and label which variables might be used as weights, and it places them at the top of the list. But you could also scroll down the list, or you could search for the weight variable by typing in something into the search box. But I'm going to select my final weight here and click OK. And now every cell in my table is being weighted by W1, which is the variable WTS. Third option, I'm only going to select the second half of my measures and change them to weight using a specific variable, WV. And you can type any expression for this, and I'm typing in weight 3. So now what's going to happen is the first 6 half of my measures will continue to be weighted by the global weight W1, and the next 6 will be weighted by the specific variable which I defined, which is weight 3, and I'm verifying this by hovering over the cell. Okay, and then the 4th option for weighting is simply do not weight, and I'm just changing the last item to that, and this is indicated by a W with a strike through, and you'll most likely encounter this when you select the N measure, because by default it is set not to weight. And the thing about do not weight is this measure will never be weighted, even if W1 is defined and even if your weighting axis is turned on, it will simply never be weighted. So those are the 4 options. I think that the weight using W1 will be a very commonly used option. So just remember that in addition to defining W1, you also need to set all of your measures to weight using W1.